Marineford was already burning before Luffy arrived. The sea itself looked angry that day. Waves slammed into the bay like they were trying to escape. Warships groaned under cannon fire. And the air was so thick with smoke and haki that it felt hard to breathe. Giants clashed with giants. Admirals stood like natural disasters given human form. Thousands of lives were being spent without hesitation, without ceremony, and in the middle of all of it, running across cracked stone with blood on his face and lungs on fire, was a kid who was never meant to be there. Luffy wasn't strong enough for Marineford. Everyone knew it. The Marines knew it. The pirates knew it. Even Luffy knew it. His body was already breaking down. Ivankov's hormones were tearing him apart from the inside, stitching his strength together with borrowed time. Every step forward was paid for with years of his life. Every punch was a countdown, but none of that mattered because Ace was right there, chained, bruised, smiling anyway. Marineford wasn't just a battlefield. It was a stage where the world was being reminded who controlled it. The Marines wanted an execution broadcast to every corner of the seas. They wanted pirates to understand something simple and cruel. No matter how strong you are, no matter how famous your name is, you will die if the world decides it. Whitebeard understood that. That was why he came, and Luffy understood it too. Even if he couldn't put it into words, he wasn't there to win a war. He wasn't there to change the world. He was there for one reason, and one reason only: family. Every second Luffy spent in Marineford stripped something away from him. Fear went first, doubt followed, then strategy, then self-preservation. By the time he reached the plaza, all that was left was raw, reckless will. Run forward! Don't stop! Save Ace! The ground cracked beneath his feet as he pushed past people who should have killed him instantly. Vice admirals hesitated. Warlords watched with curiosity instead of contempt. Even the strongest fighters on the field felt something strange when he passed by. Not power, not haki, but pressure. Like the air itself was being dragged forward by his intent. Luffy didn't notice any of it. He only saw the platform. He only saw Ace. And when the chains finally shattered, when the executioners fell, when Ace stood free and alive for just one breath longer, it felt like the world hesitated with him, like history paused to see what would happen next. Then Akainu moved. The punch was meant for Luffy. It always was. Magma tore through the air, burning hotter than reason, hotter than mercy. Ace didn't think. He didn't calculate. He didn't hesitate. He stepped forward because that's what older brothers do. The sound wasn't loud. That was the worst part. No explosion, no shockwave, just the sick final sound of something vital breaking. Ace's body went rigid. Luffy felt it before he understood it. Felt the warmth disappear. Felt the weight collapse. Felt the world tilt sideways. Ace smiled. Not bravely, not dramatically, just gently, as if apologizing for leaving. That was the moment Marineford truly fell silent. Not because the war stopped, but because something inside Luffy did. His arms caught Ace without meaning to. Blood soaked into his hands. The smell of iron replaced the smoke. Voices blurred into noise. Orders, screams, laughter, justice, piracy. It all collapsed into a single unbearable truth. He was too late again. Luffy had always been reckless, always optimistic, always believed that if he ran fast enough, punched hard enough, wanted something badly enough, the world would bend. Marineford proved it wouldn't. Ace's body went limp, and for the first time since setting out to sea, Luffy didn't scream. He didn't cry. He didn't move. Something inside his chest tightened, not like pain, not like grief, but like pressure building where a heart should be. His vision tunneled. The battlefield faded. The noise dulled until all that remained was a low, distant rhythm. Thump, thump, thump! Except it wasn't his heart. It was deeper, older, louder. A beat that didn't belong to a boy who wanted to be Pirate King. A beat that sounded like laughter echoing through time. The stone beneath Marineford began to tremble. Not from Whitebeard's power, not from earthquakes, but from something answering a call it hadn't heard in centuries. Luffy's body should have collapsed right there. Anyone else would have, but instead his chest rose, and somewhere far above the battlefield, beyond flags and cannons and justice itself, the world took notice, because something that was never supposed to awaken that day had just opened its eyes. The air above Marineford warped as if the sky itself had taken a breath it didn't know it was holding. Akainu pulled his fist back from Ace's chest. Magma still dripping, confident, absolute. Justice had been served, and then the ground beneath him bounced, not cracked, not shattered, bounced like the entire plaza had become rubber. Akainu frowned. Whitebeard paused mid-swing. Sengoku's eyes lifted, and the boy who had just lost everything started laughing. It wasn't hysterical. It wasn't broken. It was bright, wild, free. Steam curled off Luffy's body, but it wasn't the violent steam of Gear Second. It rolled lazily, like clouds forming around a rising sun. His hair lifted, shifting, whitening at the edges as if drained of shadow. His posture straightened, not strained, loose, relaxed, like he had finally remembered something. The drums grew louder. Across the battlefield, pirates felt it in their bones. Marines felt it in their teeth. The rhythm pressed against their senses in a way hockey never had. Sengoku's breath caught. No, he muttered, because legends aren't supposed to return, especially not on live broadcast. Luffy stood slowly, still holding Ace's body, and for a single, fragile second, the war waited to see if he would break. Instead, he grinned. Wide. Too wide. A grin that didn't belong on a battlefield. Akainu attacked again. Magma surged forward in a killing arc meant to erase what little life remained in the boy. It connected directly, and Luffy's body bent around it like soft clay. Not burned. Not pierced. Bent! The magma fist stretched his torso outward in a ridiculous curve before snapping back like a slingshot, flinging Akainu across the plaza with a force that shattered the execution platform behind him. Silence followed. Not fear. Not confusion. Disbelief. Luffy set Ace down gently, carefully, as if placing him somewhere safe for later. Then he rolled his shoulders. The air itself rippled with each movement. His arm extended, not fast, not aggressively, but cartoonishly far, grabbing the very edge of Marineford's bay. Fingers dug into seawater like it was solid fabric, and he pulled. The ocean tilted. Ships listed sideways as if gravity had become a suggestion. Tidal waves froze mid-crash, curving unnaturally as the sea obeyed the stretch of his will. Whitebeard stared, and for the first time that day, he laughed. Not because of destruction, but because he recognized it. Freedom. Pure, ridiculous, uncontainable freedom. The admirals moved together now. Aokiji froze the air. Kizaru fired beams of light. Akainu rose from rubble with murder in his eyes. It didn't matter. Ice shattered like glass props in a theater play. Light curved around Luffy's body, refracting into spirals. Magma splashed harmlessly across skin that rippled like a living cartoon. This wasn't power born of anger. It wasn't revenge. It wasn't even grief. It was something far more dangerous. Imagination without limit. The Marines tried to impose order, formation lines, commands, strategy. But how do you strategize against someone who can grab lightning like rope? Who can inflate his body into a giant towering over giants? Who can turn the execution platform into rubber and bounce an admiral off it like a toy? Marineford stopped being a battlefield. It became a playground, and the world watching through Denden Mushi cameras felt something crack that day. Not stone, not steel, certainty. Because the message was supposed to be clear. No pirate defies the world. Instead, they saw a boy laughing in the face of absolute authority. They saw an execution fail. They saw an admiral overpowered. They saw the symbol of justice stretched high above in a room untouched by smoke or blood. A shadowed figure felt the drums and understood immediately. It had awakened too soon. Back in the plaza, Luffy's laughter softened, not because he was tired, because he remembered. He knelt beside Ace again. The grin didn't fade, but it changed, gentler, and for a brief second, the drums slowed, because even gods of freedom cannot rewind time, but they can change what comes after. Luffy stood, turned toward the execution scaffolding, toward the Marines, toward the world, and when he spoke, his voice carried. Not loud, not forced, just certain. I'm not letting anyone take my friends again. The war didn't end that day. It exploded, because Gear 5 at Marineford doesn't save Ace. It doesn't stop the tragedy. It does something far worse for the world government. It announces Joy Boy to the world 2 years early.